हम देखते हैं कि कितने स्टूडेंट्स इंडिया से दे आर कमिंग हियर फेसिंग सो मेनी challenges and सबसे बड़ा issue is the lack of clarity and information on what are those realities here.
Mostly I see, Akshit, I'm coming to Canada. Will you be able to help me get a part-time job?
Let's keep it a authentic, genuine platform and let's not make it Instagram, right? How
Yeah,
Instagram
true.
became, right?
Hello everyone, welcome to another YouTube video. Today we have Ritika with us, and just so give you an overview, Ritika also came as an international student. अब उनके पास इतना experience हो गया है after studying in Canada, and now she is working in Deloitte, one of the big fours. Everybody must have heard of it. And also she has started a campaign called Redefined, right, Ritika?
Yeah.
First of all, welcome to the True Indian Akshit YouTube channel, and we are more than happy and excited to talk to you.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. I think this is a very big opportunity because I feel like the more people that get to hear about, I think the conversations we're about to have, the more important it is because हम देखते हैं कि कितने students India से they are coming here facing so many challenges and सबसे बड़ा issue is the lack of clarity and information on what are those realities here, what are tools, platforms that they can use to create that network for themselves. So hopefully this is value add for a lot of them listening.
Right, definitely. And आज की जो वीडियो होगी, we will be talking about LinkedIn. So आपने देखा होगा, like I have created few videos, Ritika, before, and those were about how I got into my job and how LinkedIn helped me.
Yeah.
So a lot of people ask me कि we know what LinkedIn is, and few people even don't. So how they can get help from LinkedIn and how they can start their journey on LinkedIn. So सबसे पहले हम देखेंगे कि what LinkedIn is. So Ritika, what do you think is a best definition, or like how do you define LinkedIn basically to a noob who doesn't know anything about it?
Yeah, I would say LinkedIn is a communication platform, right? The only difference about it compared to Instagram, Twitter, and all these platforms is LinkedIn has more of that professional growth perspective in mind. That's the whole idea of it. Every single person usually you will find on LinkedIn, with an exception of a few which always exist, are on that platform because they want to develop a career for themselves, whether it be entrepreneurship, whether it be a podcast of their own, whether it be the traditional jobs of working at a big four or whatever it is. I think it is that space where people come to their first point of contact to get into the professional workforce. So I see it like that. And to be honest, I am someone who also exaggerates a lot about LinkedIn, and I would say it's also the be all and end all of just being a person today. In today's time and age that we are in, especially with so many economic changes happening in our society, with recession and so many other things, which doesn't just impact the job market, right? It impacts so many other factors, which I think a lot of us may not be aware of. And LinkedIn control karta hai काफी ये सब चीजें. So I see it as that.
Right. That's so true. और जिसको नहीं पता, like I came to Canada in 2018 and I was just talking to Ritika about that, कि मुझे भी 1-1.5 साल लग गया जानने में, because we have a lot of events at, like we have had a lot of events at college जहाँ पे वो LinkedIn के बारे में, like they used to present LinkedIn, have you click the photo and everything, they'll set up your profile, and I never visited any of those events because I wasn't sure what was it, right?
Yeah.
So इसके लिए ही I wanted to kind of highlight this topic specifically कि LinkedIn is a very very important tool. LinkedIn helped me connect with so many great people, and to be very honest, it's like just because of LinkedIn I was able to get my tech job. So वो चीज़ I thought कि why not communicate with a lot of people who are doing great, and Ritika is one of them. I follow her every day, and she's just doing an amazing job on LinkedIn. I'll put her LinkedIn down in the description if you want to connect. So Ritika, the next thing is, we know like what LinkedIn is. So how basically LinkedIn can help people get there, like you already mentioned it in brief, that it can help creating all sort of content, or if you want to get into the jobs and stuff. So how LinkedIn is the only tool that can help rather than Instagram or YouTube or whatever the thing is, even though YouTube is not actually the kind of a networking platform, but Instagram or Twitter, how LinkedIn is specifically different and how it is beneficial?
Yeah. So I think, see, the essence is You can also network with people on Instagram, to be honest, or even on Twitter, for example, right? But I think it just depends the kind of networks you're looking to get in contact with and the kind of opportunities you're hoping to get access to. If you are looking for some opportunities where you're hoping to find VCs, let's say, for your entrepreneurship, right? Well, let's say you're hoping to connect with fellow collaborators or change makers in the social impact space. You're hoping to get into contact with the UNSF. These people are more likely to respond to you when you reach out to them on LinkedIn because it has an image associated with it which is more professional, which is more respectful in a way, I would say, as compared to Instagram, which is seen as a space of playing with things. It's seen as a space of exploration, creativity, right? So I think it really depends what you're trying to achieve. I would say, like, for a lot of students, definitely I would recommend LinkedIn, because Instagram, yes, serves as a purpose, and even Facebook here serves a big purpose for students to actually connect with one another, form those peer connections, which is great. But if you are looking to form connections with individual, even in your same peer group, who are more career motivated, who are looking to reap some incredible outcomes for themselves, you'll most likely find them having at least you'll most likely find them having an Instagram in LinkedIn account as well, right? Similar is for recruiters. A lot of these employers as well, they are looking for people who have that mindset to be reaching out to them, and LinkedIn is a great way for them in a way to select those people as well. Because if these people are on LinkedIn, most likely they are people who are driven to change lives for themselves. They're most likely people who are driven to build careers for themselves. So I think that's the main distinguisher, and that's how it distinguishes. In terms of, like, I know you also mentioned a question around how can people use LinkedIn, right? And I think the big part of it is to realize that LinkedIn or any platform you talk about, networking is the essence, right? LinkedIn is just one of the tools, at least currently, that is present to us that can be used to do that, right? There are different platforms coming up as well, like Meetup, I know in Toronto is becoming a big one too, for a lot of those in-person meetups. But again, a lot of this starts through LinkedIn initially, right? Through LinkedIn, if you connect with someone, you will get to know about this app, then you then reach out to, right? So I think it's kind of that, it's like in the solar system, right? It's the sun in the middle and then everything else away from it. So I think, like,
Makes
getting
sense.
into the LinkedIn network can allow you to start building those connections, which eventually will put you in contacts with any other platforms, any other organizations, communities that exist, thus building your network overall. So I think that's the best way to leverage it, is just treat it like a communication and a networking platform and just connect
Right.
with people, right? Yeah.
Right. That makes a lot of sense, and I second that thought. So, secondly, like, we know ki LinkedIn can help us a lot, right? Now, Ritika, imagine a situation where I am the person who knows what LinkedIn is. I have created a basic
Yeah.
skeleton profile with, DP and all the things that I do, all the things that I have done before. Now, my plan is to get into the job culture. I want to get the best job that's available,
Yeah.
and I know I have the skills. The only thing that I don't have is the network.
Yeah.
So, considering I have like 100 followers and I want to connect with recruiters, I want to connect with the people who are, VCs, presidents, who I can reach and tell them that I know I can do my work. So, how we can start approaching, because a lot of times, when we hear about LinkedIn, people just say, hi, I'm looking for a job, can you give me the job? This is a very bad way. I mean, that's not the appropriate way to kind of reach out
Yeah.
to someone right in the face, right? So what do you think is the right approach when it comes to jobs, or even making a connection as well?
Yeah.
So how do you kind of debate on that?
Yeah, I think there are two things on that, is personalization and being specific. I always mention those two things. The reason I mention specificity as well is because I feel like a lot of students will reach out very generally to people, right? They'll just be like, hi, I'm interested in consulting, would love to learn more. There are so many different types of consulting, right? What kind of consulting are you interested in? Because that shows what? That shows if you have done your research or not. Personalization also ties into that piece. When I read that message, do I feel like, is this a message you have copy pasted to 200 other people, right? Or do I feel like this is a message you have drafted specifically for me? That is the key distinguisher, right? I always put myself in the other person's shoes and imagine, okay, if I'm to receive this message, right, from so and so person, would I feel like this was drafted for me? If I feel like that, then that's the right message to be sent out. So what I often do for that and suggest to students is, let's say if you're reaching out to a recruiter or anyone, just go through their profile briefly, skim for 5 seconds over it, identify a few key areas. Let's say if they worked at a company, how many years have they worked at that company? Let's say if they've been there 25 years, that's a great thing to mention in your their personalized invite as well. Or let's say if they have a particular interest also, like let's say they are basketball fans, right? Pick up on something like that. So the way your message will look like is, hi, my name is Ritika, I'm currently studying so and so at this university. I came across your profile, I'm really excited to know more about your position. I see you've been working 25 years at this company, would love to connect and learn more. Right? Again, it's not too detailed, but at the same time, you have included specific details to that person, which allows them to know that that message has been drafted by them. And I think the biggest thing to also keep in mind, the intentionality with which you reach out. Even though your
Right.
intention at the end of the day, let's say very honestly, is getting a job through that person, right? You want to make sure you don't let that person feel that way, right? No one wants to feel used, right? No one wants to feel like they're just a medium to get to a job or a referral at the end of the day. So you want to reach out through the perspective of, hey, I'm here to learn, right? I just want to connect because I feel inspired looking at your experiences. It's something I hope to do in the future, and I just want to learn how you did it for yourself so that maybe I can, do something similar for myself, right? If you reach out like that, most people will connect because people love talking about themselves, right?
Right.
Look at
That's
me
true.
here talking constantly, right? And secondly, people love when you idolize them or when you make them the center of attention. So make them the center of attention, right? Give them that spotlight that they want and focus things on themselves. Don't take up a lot of the conversation focusing on yourself. That's the mistake I think students make. Sometimes they'll focus a lot just on themselves in that entire message. I do this in 3 lines, and then they'll be like, would love to connect and learn more, right? You haven't told me anything about myself, why you want to connect with me. That's the biggest question you want to answer. Why you want to connect with that particular person. As long as you answer that in that invite, they're most likely to accept it.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I have seen, because to be very honest, being on a social media platform, I receive a lot of LinkedIn requests, and I see, Akshita, I'm coming to Canada. Will you be able to help me get a part-time job? Or like there'll be like 2 or 3 messages in 100 messages where I'll see an actual representation of what you just said, right? Like reaching out and letting them know, right? This is this, and to be very honest, the people who get reached out know that everybody wants to get something out of their like out of their position. If I'm a VP, I know like people will not reach me 99% of the time just to say that you're doing a great job or whatever the case is. They will be reaching out just to see if I have any opportunities that is beneficial for them, right? So it's pretty straightforward from their point of view as well. It's just like how you establish your first message and kind of create your impression in front of them. That is totally understandable. So Ritika, now coming back to the same situation, I am someone now who has a LinkedIn profile, who is connecting with people as a way that you said, right? I have now 200 or 250 followers. Followers is just what I'm referring to, because it doesn't matter much as long as you are kind of posting regularly. It's just something that might help you in some way or the other, but just to connect with more people. So now I have been reaching out to 3 to 4 people personally, creating great messages for them. Now I want to grow on LinkedIn. Let's say my goal is now to impact a bigger audience. I have learned a skill that I want to teach to other people, and for that I want to be recognized in future by the organizations that are top in the world. So I have to be my own voice, basically. And first of all, congratulations for being the LinkedIn top voice. I mean, it is such a great honor. I just loved it. As I saw the thing that you got, that I was like, she deserves it. And
Thank you.
and for people who don't know that, we will talk about it later, but someone who wants to kind of establish his own voice, how that person can start their journey in LinkedIn, and how they can kind of reach masses.
I think before I even mentioned that, I think to your earlier point is like, let's say if someone has sent out 3-4 people that they have connected with, networking is about consistency and doing it every single day, right? So I have sometimes students tell me, yeah, Ritika, I've connected with 10 people till now. I said, so, right? just 10. That's my response. And to them, it's like, I've connected to 10 people. Oh my God, right? Such a big number. Like, imagine, like, it literally takes you, I have counted this myself, it takes you 45 seconds to draft a personalized invite, right? Let's say you aim to send a message to 5 people every single day. By
Yeah.
the end of the week, you've reached out to about 35 people, right? And that's literally 2 to 3 minutes of your time every single day. I don't think that's much to ask, right? We all aren't presidents and prime ministers of the countries, right? Even
Right.
they have the time to spend with their families. So I'm sure 3, 5 minutes everyone can afford, right? So I think that definitely is a thing. But coming to your point is like, how do you grow on LinkedIn? I think the biggest thing is finding out what your niche is, A. And I think B is finding out how do you best like to portray yourself. The reason I mention that is because I feel like being creators in general, and I'm sure even you understand this, being so big on YouTube as well, is like there's this high tendency sometimes to start doing things the way others are doing. But I think what I've realized, what really works well on LinkedIn, obviously being consistent is key to LinkedIn. That's how the algorithm in general works, right? Sometimes people will even tell you that it's better you maintain consistency even if the quality is compromised, at least initially. I feel like until you want to get to 10K, I think your quality could still be bad, like not bad, like average, but you need to make
Average.
sure you're posting every single day or even twice a day if possible. Once you reach 10K, then it starts becoming a lot about the quality of your content than the quantity, right? That's why you will notice a lot of people, once they cross 10K, that's when they will start posting maybe only once a day, right?
Right.
Instead of 2 times a day. Most of the people you check,
Right.
like Palak Khanna, this other guy I know of, I keep forgetting, Anya Wig, like, these other people that I also like are my friends and I have worked with, like all of them started in the same way, started posting 2, 3 times a day to then just once a day. And I know it'll also shift to maybe once every alternate day. Because
Right.
what after a point, the following depends on other factors than just the consistency. So I think that's one thing important to keep in mind. And I think second thing is advocacy is very subjective. I've seen some people posting informative content through videos that they themselves have not created, versus I've seen people posting about that content through videos they themselves create or just through content they write even without pictures. And it works all the different ways. It's just about first building your audience. In fact, when you're just starting out, that's the best time to experiment because you don't have as much following. You need to dictate what your audience starts liking, and the way you dictate that is by what? Two things. One is, the reason consistency is so important to this piece is because let's say every day you post at 11 a.m. on LinkedIn, right? The
Right.
community that is active at 11 a.m. every single day is that community that becomes your larger community, right? As you keep growing, right? So if you start, let's say, posting a content on menstruation, for example, right? Initially, let's say you may not get views, but if you keep doing that every single day at that same time, what you may eventually notice is, and you want to experiment also, that's why. Some days try posting in the morning, some day try posting in the evening, some way try midday. You may strike a chord with one of the audiences where you see a higher viewage. Wherever you see a higher viewage throughout the day, start posting at that time slot every single day. And what you will start noticing is that's where you have the flexibility to influence the audience to start liking what you want to put out there, right? Instead of them dictating what you put out there. And I think that's how the LinkedIn game is to be played. Instagram sometimes is more around what the audience wants to put you out there, right? People hop on trends and other things. LinkedIn is not that. I think LinkedIn is more about creating your own trends and making the audience comfortable with those trends. So I think
Makes sense.
that I've realized is like a big thing about LinkedIn content to keep important in mind. And I think lastly, if I were to say, is like, is just being transparent and being authentic. I know a lot of people talk about this, but I think more than authenticity, it's about transparency, right? Let's not make the mistake people started making when they started creating content on Instagram. What started happening on Instagram was these creators were presenting these amazing lives that they're living, right? Which never allowed people to go back and see the initial picture where they started, right? So I think we need to make sure as creators on LinkedIn as a platform, we want to make sure we keep it a genuine platform, right? Where people see the reality behind things. So I think I started doing this with my content, that whenever I post about something success, mostly, I try to showcase either or follow it up with a post that shows the hardships maybe I've been through, like what made me reach there, right? Like for example, even when I organize events, a lot of people are like, oh wow, so many people show up to your event, right? But then I created a post about the first event I hosted, I had 2 people show up, right? And that's when people realize, they feel, acha, she's also human hi hamari tarah. That's when
Right.
they realize that, and it's important to project that. So I think that I would say is the last thing to keep important in mind for LinkedIn.
Makes sense. Makes sense. No, that completely makes sense. So now we have been to a point where we are creating content,
Yeah.
and we are, pushing our voice to people and letting them know that we have a voice that we want to be heard. Okay, that's all good. So, Ritika, I believe you have covered all the basic points that I think I wanted to have you covered. But if you have any other things you think are important when it comes to LinkedIn, any lessons you have learned throughout the years, because I know it's pretty basic, it's pretty normal, but person who kind of is so active on LinkedIn learn a lot of things every day, right? So any
Yeah.
specific things you want to touch before we end this video, that'll be great.
Yeah. No, I feel like I think the biggest thing I would say honestly is like, see, there are a lot of people coming on LinkedIn today, a lot of creators, because a lot of awareness is coming, right? A lot of people creating content, especially from India and US being the two major sources of content creation. And what you'll start realizing is a lot of the content being posted is becoming similar. People are posting about similar things, similar topics, because obviously it's human, right? Like if you have so many people, you're going to see that repetition. So one thing I would definitely say important to keep in mind is make sure whatever you post, you first read about the kind of posts also that are out there on that same topic. Because what I've noticed happen with a few people is people will start, especially when you start gaining followers, there'll be a lot of people to also try and bring you down as well. I have realized that obviously any social media, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
there'll be a lot of people making fake things saying, oh, you've taken my content. But that's what I'm saying is like everyone goes through similar experiences, and I learned that from my lesson, right? So what I've started doing now, anytime I'm posting any topic, I'm first going to put the topic in the search box, search up any recent post I see from that, and compare my post to that, and literally make sure I don't use any same sentence or anything at all to basically avoid a lot of those things from happening, because it just happens and you just want to avoid and not give anyone any opportunity to kind of poke at it, right? And do it from the beginning. And in building on that is make sure you stay credible, right? I think that's the biggest part as well. Don't copy anyone's content, right? Make sure you
Right.
stay authentic and true to your content, and you can take inspiration from people's content. I think that's different. I take a lot of inspiration from people's content, but one thing I always do when I take that inspiration, I'll be like, just read so and so's post and wanted to talk about it, right? And I'll then just talk my entire thing on what they wrote about, and that's okay to do. But don't make sure to like copy someone's post, paste it, put your picture and do it, right? Because I've had people do that to my post. I don't call it out, but just wanted to mention that it's important, right? Let's keep it a authentic, genuine platform, and let's not make it Instagram, right? How
Yeah.
Instagram
True.
became, right? Yeah,
True.
so I think let's keep it real. Yeah.
Yep. That is very well said. Thank you so much, Ritika, once again. I think बहुत ज़्यादा लोगों को बहुत कुछ सीखने को मिला होगा, and मैं रितिका के सारे जो भी socials हैं नीचे आपको description में डाल दूंगा, so you can connect and learn from her. Because I think Canada में it's like कि if you are in Canada, there are many people who are creating content, and there is a different side to every one of them. So just make sure कि you kind of learn and see कि लोग कैसे कर रहे हैं, so that you can kind of get inspiration from it. So that's what I believe, and that's why I was like ki, I have to have you on the podcast and we can kind of shoot about it. Thank you so much once again, Ritika. I hope you enjoyed the conversation.
No, I did
And
enjoy, and thank you so much for having me be a part of it. The only one thing I would
right.
say before leaving is like for any like international students also that may be listening specifically, I think it's so important to see like you all go through a lot of challenges, right? And I've been through that my same. Akshit has been through those as well, and so many of us. And I think it's important to keep in mind you have all the potential and all the capabilities. It's all about leveraging it. And the reason we are talking here about LinkedIn is because LinkedIn is a way to advocate for yourself. For a lot of us South Asians, especially जो India से आ रहे हैं, especially लोग, like in us there's this idea of humility, I think, which is promoted a lot, and I think sometimes it goes against this idea of self advocacy, right? हमें सिखाया नहीं जाता ज़्यादा अपने बारे में बात करने, because if we do talk about ourselves, it's not seen as a good thing. It's seen as something too proudy or something. But I'll tell you, in North America, self advocacy is the be all and end all of everything. No matter what opportunity you're trying to pursue, that is what's important. And you'll
Right.
notice is that normally people are more likely to hear voices of people who may not be South Asians, right? So you being I don't want to say loud, but you advocating for yourself becomes important because it helps you put your voice out there. And it's not just you, remember. Whenever you're in a foreign country, I think you represent your entire country with you and
True.
your entire community. So you voicing your opinion can maybe benefit so many others, who
Right.
are going to be following in those same footsteps. So make sure you leverage LinkedIn as that platform to really do that advocacy and not miss out on the opportunity. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ritika. It was nice having a chat with you, and looking
Same here.
forward to have you again sometime on the show and talk about more things.
Yes.
Thank you once
Thank you so
again,
much, Akshit. Have a good
and
one.
have a great day.